studios. Looking a little more casual than I have the last few nights on the RSBN Tonight News show. We're trying something different. We're trying out a show called Mornings with Adam. This is a test. I guess you could call it a pre-test, proto-test. It's the first time we've even tried to do this. I didn't even know we were doing this till a little while ago. But apparently we're going to have a new show here. And this is one where, I'll get to this later, we want you guys to be a little bit more of a part of it. It's a little more casual. We're testing things out. So Mornings with Adam, maybe that'll be the title.
We're drowning in
working title.
information.
And I guess I should say RSBN studio to those of you in the Mountain Time Zone and Pacific Time Zone. It's still morning there. Here over in Alabama, it's already afternoon, and certainly on the East Coast. All right, enough about time zones. Look, we listen to you, and I noticed what you like about me in the news show and what you don't like about me. You say I seem a little stiff sometimes, and I was in a tie and jacket. Well, I'm not in a tie and jacket right now. Some of you say, we like the Adam whose personality came through in the pregame shows before Trump rallies. I got you. And let me say, the news thing is not me so much. And I know what I'm good at, what I'm not. I really like interacting with other people, and there's going to be plenty of that in this. Eventually, we're going to have callers. We're going to be having interviews, etc. We may even have people coming into the studio who don't work here. I'm going to bring in some people who do work here very soon. But we're going to do things different, and you're going to work with us, and it's going to be a lot of seat of the pants stuff. But hey, you guys say in the chat room at least that you like me more when I'm more spontaneous. So hey, maybe that'll be the case. And I know my face isn't that expressive. I'm probably like, if I were an actor, I'd be Neil Diamond in The Jazz Singer. Terrible acting job there. But I guess you're okay with the way I look and the way I sound in general. And again, I've heard that I'm better at interacting with people. Obviously, we don't have a line of hundreds, thousands of people like at a Trump rally, but we'll see what we can do. I think you'll like it. Again, the chat room here, we're going to interact, and I'm going to even throw out topics. Even if I don't get to them, that'll be fun for you all to talk about there. We may, and I want to do this, I met some great people when I was hosting the pregame show. And I want to bring some of them on. Some of them I kept in contact with. Some gave their names, shouldn't be too hard to find. Some I can find, for example, someone who gave their name in Cincinnati may remember someone else who was there who I want to get. So we're going to try all that. It's a work in progress, and I have to thank our donors who make all this possible. We really appreciate your contributions. You enable us to do these test runs, even though we clearly don't have revenue coming in on this particular show. It's you guys who make this possible. Again, it's going to be casual. I'm not shaved yet. That'll be during the news show tonight. And speaking of that, let's talk about the news today. I want to start with Donald Trump. He brought in Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne Conway. She used to be Fitzpatrick. She's going to be a part of the team. Didn't you love, and talk about this in the chat room, how he made her wait for a little while? He's the boss, but he sort of kept the drama going. Drudge lead story. It's not a big news day, fortunately, like 3 days ago, in the sense of Germany and Turkey, the tragedies there. 3 days ago, obviously, was the Electoral College. So all those stories died, and we like the fact that we're not going to be hearing much from Hillary Clinton, hopefully, for a while, or ever again. I looked at Drudge Report. I do that. Not a headline. It's the same one as last night about Trump, whether that he will not be on the special Metro cards during inauguration weekend that they give. But supposedly, according to Trump, didn't provide them with the pictures. He needed, who knows what's going on. Gateway has some interesting stories about Sheriff Clark really calling out the anti-white male video that MTV did. Just, it's so lame. You should check that out yourself. And by the way, you may want to watch this during your computer, because I'm going to be throwing things out there. You may want to take notes about videos you should see. I don't pretend I wrote all the information myself. You know, I am almost a circuit for, no, what's the word? I don't know. I need another coffee. A conduit for information, things that you should Google later, videos you should see, videos you should watch when I'm boring, even if it's not later. That Sheriff Clark MTV one, which is at the top of the Gateway Pundit, one of the top bookmarks for me, is up there, and also about Trump and Israel. I'm Jewish, and I'm proudly Jewish. I'm religious. You won't see me on a Friday night here. I'm very pro-Israel. There's a story about how great Trump has already been for Israel, and it's still 29 days away from the inauguration. That's one you should look at the top of Gateway Pundit now. Now, I want to bring in Steve Lookner. He is the co-producer, co-writer, though we don't have official titles, but that's the way it's evolving here. And hey, Steve, that means come on in now. And we're going to talk about a few things that he alluded to yesterday. Did you like when he used the word retarded on air? We were not deliberately trying to create a controversy, but hey, if that gets us some publicity, that is. I'm going to talk with him in a second, about the retarded issue, because I overheard in the office, and we have a very good bantering office, and sometimes we're going to get ideas from that. I'm going to ask him about the disability thing with Trump. Like, in places like Pennsylvania, they ran a lot of ads about how Trump was just so anti-disabled. This was before the Rosie O'Donnell video, Google that, about Barron possibly being autistic. Who knows about that? Hey, Steve, what's up? Nice to see you here.
Nice to see you. Long time no see.
Yeah, right? He's in the cubicle next to me.
On mute.
Okay. All right, we were just saying hi to each other when that was on mute. Steve, first of all, Steve and I go a long way back. We were friends in college. We're both Jews from the Northeast, so hey, diversity, not here, but at least we can be pretty interchangeable when you substitute host for me, whatever, or vice versa. But Steve Lookner.
So the people...
Wait, let me introduce you some more. Veteran, not everyone knows you by now. He did a great job with the pregame in Mobile, Alabama last
Steve,
week.
what's up?
Nice to see you here. He's a former writer for Saturday Night Live. He's in the cubicle next to me. Seinfeld, among many other things. All right, we were just saying hi to each other when that was on mute. Steve, first of all, Steve and I go a long way back. We were friends in college. We're both Jews from the Northeast, so hey, diversity, not here, but at least we can be pretty interchangeable when you substitute host for me, whatever, or vice versa.
It's very
but Steve Lookner.
But also, the people...
Let me introduce you some more.
Which is why veteran, not everyone like RSBN is because we're doing something new. And when you're in Hollywood, they don't do a lot new. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, you were basically working here the day you came in here for an interview. You already started working. It was a quick and obvious fit. I just wanted people to know you a little bit, and I'll have to do that again as people get to know you at different times. But I promised them we would talk. You mentioned, you used the word retarded yesterday during the news show, the segment you were on. But that leads to what I heard you saying before. I wasn't even talking to you about Trump and the disability issue. And maybe you could just share that with the audience, what you were thinking there.
Well, we got into this yesterday because we were talking about the guy who got thrown off the plane yesterday. And my point about that was, if you followed the story yesterday, there was a guy who got thrown off a Delta plane.
No. I'm talking what you were talking, the commercial about Trump and okay.
No, but I'm going to get to that. My point about yesterday is that people were going after this guy who got thrown off a plane because they were saying, like, he did all these prank videos where he does these pranks on YouTube where he acts like a terrorist. And the thing, what I said is that, well, if you I actually went and took the 5 minutes to watch the videos, and he doesn't do those type of pranks in those videos. He has clickbaity titles, which makes it seem like he does these pranks in the videos, but he actually doesn't do the pranks in the videos. And what I was saying is that, we really, as media people, should be responsible, and before we come out with a view, actually research the people we're talking about.
And your point was also that you weren't all up all night watching all his videos. It took you about 10 minutes to figure this out.
This research took me about 10 minutes. So that relates to the Trump disability thing, because one thing during the campaign that drove me absolutely crazy is that everybody jumped on board and said, like, Trump dislikes disabled people. And their one piece of evidence for this was this supposed time he made fun of a disabled person. And even Hillary was repeatedly, up until the end of the campaign, saying he makes fun of disabled people. But if you just go online and do a little research, there is plenty of stuff out there which shows that this assertion that this one time he made fun of a disabled person is highly questionable. For example, the gesture Trump did when he supposedly made fun of this disabled person the one time is a gesture he has done in numerous other speeches in which he was not making fun of a disabled person. And so, at best, this is a questionable, not very supported assertion. So that you could base your claim that even Hillary Clinton, the presidential candidate, was claiming unequivocally that Donald Trump is against disabled people and makes fun of them. But do a little research.
And I think your point is the media, it's their job to do this research, and they didn't do it.
No,
NBC didn't point this out, that the ad is a total joke because it wouldn't have been hard for them to figure out.
They would run it. The Clinton campaign would run it in their ads. Also, I just think in general, liberals who are criticizing Trump should do this kind of research before they make all these blanket criticisms like he's a racist and he hates this group and that group. Just do your research. That's all I ask.
And what's interesting? You were talking at length about Adam Saleh, who just seems like an annoying guy who's out for publicity. His videos are just boring videos, and he puts a catchy title. anti-Arab prejudice, whatever. But it seems since you went on, which was probably about 6:30 Central Time yesterday, we're here in the Central Time Zone, so we defer to Central. It seems since then. There's been some stories that have come out. Delta has another side of the story. The other passengers have another side of the story.
Well, the Delta statement that came out just basically seemed to say that he was creating a ruckus of some sort, saying he was shouting, but you don't know what he was shouting about.
Right.
So he could have just been like, say, inebriated and just making a ruckus that way. So I don't really have any more great insight as to what went on there.
It seems to me like the guy was just a pain in the ass, disturbing the passengers and knowing what he was doing.
Yeah.
And
Do you like to give credit to people you follow on Twitter? Do you want to give credit to that guy? Was it Joey Salad or whatever?
Joey Salad, yeah, good memory there. That was the guy who did the video. I don't know if he was the first. He was the first I saw. It was reported in Gateway Pundit, which I often go to. I don't think they necessarily do the best writing, but they're very systematic about having the articles people are talking about. Not the best writing. I mean, the best writing for me is like, for example, Carl Denninger and market-ticker.org.
I'll have to read that. I've never read it.
Yeah, no, he didn't write about this. He doesn't come out with 30 new things a day.
Right.
I think probably it's more like 20 at Gateway Pundit, but they're systematic, but I often go to the original sources there. That's something we have to try to do because, like there are headlines that on the right we would love to believe are true, which just aren't. What was the one I saw today about Hillary Clinton? On MSNBC, they had something on there. I'm going to look on the phone.
I remember what you said. There was a headline MSNBC was running, which was like, Clinton camp kept tabs on electoral college efforts.
I'll tell you exactly what it was in a second. It was...
And let me just mention, the Joey Salad thing we quoted was just a tweet. He posted a video yesterday where he basically gave his take on the Adam Saleh getting thrown off the plane. What he basically said is he thought it wasn't like some kind of prank. It was just him just being like a disruptive person on the plane. And I thought he gave an intelligent take on it. So go look up Joey Salad if you want to see.
And by the way, he didn't get arrested. If anyone thought he was a real terroristic threat, he would have been arrested, not merely thrown off the plane. They don't mess around with that.
Right.
This was simply not committing a crime, not seeming like he was committing a crime, just being annoying.
Right.
And here's the headline. I took a picture of it on MSNBC. Politico. Clinton aides kept tabs on anti-Trump elector gambit. Like that's... First of all, it's interesting that would be an MSNBC. Why is that news? Of course they did. I mean, I blame Hillary Clinton for everything, but not that. Of course they kept.
Now we were
that.
saying that maybe this is just MSNBC being bad because the story really might have been. It seemed like the story what was really getting at is like maybe the Clinton campaign was actually helping direct that movement or something like that. But the headline itself just says kept tabs. It seems like
Oh yeah, there's no Chinese wall. They can at least pay attention to what Jill Stein is doing.
Are they not supposed to read the newspaper stories about the electoral college stuff? So I agree with you. But you know what?
But that's the problem with the media. There's so many misleading headlines, and we have the luxury here that you either are watching us or not, and that there will be a headline appearing at the bottom, but hopefully we don't see it when we're on camera. It's related to what we're actually saying, not clickbaiting, and you build a loyal audience. Obviously, they have to get people's attention with headline. But with all the talk of fake news to me, the bigger problems to me are not necessarily fake news per se, but misleading headlines because it's how many dollars you get is how many clicks you get. And also what I've referred to a few times as neo-plagiarism, where they have an exaggerated headline, they write a story, like they'll have a headline like, will Barack Obama... Oh my, will Barack Obama be on the next plane back to Kenya after he sees this? They write an opinionated first paragraph and they say, according to the Daily Caller, and then they have 5 paragraphs which are just word for word.
Can I just say one of my favorite fake headlines I saw yesterday, and it was something like something transgender something, and it was a picture of Jason Alexander. It's funny because I knew it was fake, and I knew the story wasn't actually that Jason Alexander was transgender.
He's awfully bald for a woman.
I know, but the thing is, I had to physically keep myself from clicking on that because I so wanted to click it on. Because part of me was like, maybe Jason Alexander is transgender, but I knew he wasn't. So I see how these things work.
Yeah,
but,
we have a little time. Another story which is a few days old that I just caught up with and I asked you to check on is the guy Joe Mixon, the Oklahoma running back. And that story came out and I asked you to look at it and I said, let's purposely not talk about this so the audience. This is a running back who is
played for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I guess he still does because they're in a bowl game. Okay. They just missed, I think they were the number 5 or number 6 team in the country, just missed being in the 4-team champion playoff. and he had been suspended for 2 years for punching a woman. Now, I wanted to get your reaction to that.
So
you saw the video, as I did, and you should Google.
So I guess this video of this guy, Joe Mixon, punching this woman in the restaurant or bar or whatever it was, it had been kept under wraps, and then some kind of Oklahoma media organization sued, and very recently, like a week or two ago, they won the suit and got the video to be publicly released. It is a horrific video, so I don't want to say, like, go watch it unless you want to see this kind of thing. But I think my first reaction when I saw the video, which is just as bad, if not worse, than the video of what's his name, running back, Baltimore Ravens, I think.
Ray Rice.
Ray Rice punching a woman.
I have some opinions on that.
Okay, so was the first thing I saw in the news story when I read the news story was like, he didn't do any jail time, and I was like, man, I would never do it, but I think if I punched a woman and like broke her jaw in many places, which this guy did, I'd be doing jail time.
Oh, here was my
I have
reaction.
a problem with that.
Yeah, here's my reaction. I watched the video, and I didn't even know the story too well.
Right.
I just hadn't paid attention to it. To what extent are you... Oh, she hit him first. And he said it felt like that. That's the...
Right.
I mean, I'm just wondering, legally, are you allowed to respond? It was a response in a quarter of a second. That's like... I'm a...
Right.
The bar
but now, just to clarify, so you know more about the law than I do because you are a lawyer and I'm not. I will say in the video, she does put her hands on him. It does not look like she hits him very hard.
Oh, she slapped him across the face
so,
in the video.
So they can
but
watch
he said
it.
it hurt.
Sure. I have not watched it many times.
And his reaction was so immediate that...
Right. There's
no premeditation.
Right, so in a strictly legal sense, they might be able to argue that it was some sort of self-defense.
Well, that's why he didn't do jail time, I think.
Well, but so I guess my question would be, I'm guessing that if you know more about this than me again, but I'm guessing when I saw the video, it didn't feel to me like it was self-defense. It felt like a woman who was much less big than him, putting her hands on him in a way that probably didn't hurt him that much and didn't warrant the response. But perhaps the law is written in such a way that if you have good lawyers, you can get out of it by arguing self-defense.
And the other thing that was alleged is her friend, who apparently is gay, there had been some talking. They probably were mocking him, but we're in a situation where the N-word is fighting words. And I thought I heard him mouth that as he goes in the screen, something about that, which clearly it was on his lips, even though he came in later. Like, you know, that's pretty provocative. And then she slapped him. So to me, it's like, you know, and it was not premeditated because it was so immediate. I don't know the situation. I have some feelings about Ray Rice, too. And I also have a real problem when teams are putting discipline out there when not everything is on video, when the justice system is not.
Well, that I agree with. I don't like in general. I mean, this happens in pro sports leagues. If somebody gets arrested for something, a team will suspend the guy or like something like that before there's been any kind of judicial process and any kind of proving the person guilty in a court of law kind of thing. So I'm with you on that.
An arrest. There are often wrongful arrests. And with the Ray Rice thing, we still don't know what had happened right before the video. I'm not exonerating him at all. Right. But I really had a problem with the fact that he never played again.
Right. It's possible also that teams just didn't think he was that good at that.
Well, he was on the latter part of the career, but I think he was definitely blacklisted. And I have a problem because he initially was punished, and then when the PR had a problem, he was punished again. And let's be honest, charges were not pressed. Well, she married him, and let's be honest, 70% of black kids in America grow up without both parents in the house. His will, and she forgave him, and he wasn't arrested. And for him to lose his career, and my real problem was Jesse Jackson got involved. And you know what his problem with the whole situation was? When the NFL had this panel, they didn't have enough minority women on there. I'm like, well, what about a black man losing his livelihood, for something that was forgiven by his wife, and that was no charges were pressed.
Well, I mean, it's one of these things where where these certain stories get really big, and then publicity happens, and then when publicity happens, the politics takes over in the league. So for example, I mean, I just saw a recent video of the Oklahoma head coach Bob Stoops saying this came up. It might have happened today. It might have happened the last couple of days, where he said, "Well, now I realize we were wrong, and if this happened again, we would have definitely." I believe he said he would have kicked him off the team. And it feels like if this video had not come out,
video, like the NFL saw the Ray Rice video before the PR came out the second time.
But if this Joe Mixon video had not been released and had gone public, I do not think Bob Stoops would have made the speech. So your point is well taken in that the punishments and the reactions do very much depend on how widespread the videos get out there and how much publicity they get. And there's plenty of other cases, I'm sure, where they're not publicized and the reaction is much different.
And I also wonder, and this will come up in the chat room, yeah, you can't hit a woman, but can you hit a woman when she assaults you. She clearly committed assault on him. I mean, that's why you don't assault someone who can beat the crap out of you.
I agree with you that there is a point at which if a woman is assaulting you, you should be justified in hitting her. My take on this video, but I would have to watch it a lot more times, is that initially when I saw it, it didn't feel to me morally that he was justified hitting her as hard as he did back. But hey, watch the video. And by the way, as we're telling the crowd to watch the video, let's just say hi to everybody out there.
Hello again.
So thank you for watching, by the way. This is, as you can tell, it's very experimental and it's a little more loose. And we just want to...
I may get killed in the chat room for taking the position of these athletes, but I just don't like when they change the punishment because of PR. It's unfair to me, regardless of what you think of the people.
Oh, and I want to say to the crowd out there, if there's stuff that you would like Adam and guests like me to talk about on Mornings with Adam, feel free to let us know. Well, how would you...
in real time.
Oh, they can let us know in real
we're going to have the equipment out here later.
That's true.
These guys can pass messages to us.
So like today, if they want to let us know what to talk about, where should they be posting that, in the chat room or something like that?
Well, today we're doing a test run, so
but it's on YouTube.
I guess they can be in the chat room because we have a news show to do tonight. Before we get to that, though, I want to talk about...
Post stuff on YouTube in the chat.
In the comments in the chat, and these guys are monitoring it.
Also, let me say, if Trump speeches and rallies has stolen this feed and you're watching it on Trump speeches and rallies, stop watching it. They steal things and don't watch them. Oh, and also
I'll be flattered if they do that.
What is it?
Golden State Times?
No, Golden Gate Times?
No, Golden State Times.
If you do not watch this on Golden State Times.
Why are we getting publicity?
I know. It's
we gave Adam Salop for publicity today, so why not? We might as well
okay,
give
you
these
wanted to
guys.
move on to another topic.
I do want to talk about the news stories of tonight and your input. What should we talk about on the news broadcast? RSBN tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's the way we should refer to it. What should we talk about? And but I want to talk to you. There was that Jerry Lewis video. I can't remember the name of the show. Something Before You Die. Rush Limbaugh thought it was the most hilarious interview you had ever seen. You have a background in comedy. I just told you last night when we were both at back home. Steve, you got to check this out. And you have a background in comedy. I don't. So I want your opinion. First
of all, just so they know, this is the great Adam videotape he gave me last night. There's a Jerry Lewis video. Maybe you can tweet it out on your Twitter feed after the show, where I believe the Hollywood Reporter, I think, interviewed Jerry Lewis saying like, hey, they were doing a story about like people who keep working into their 90s. And it's about an 8-minute video. And I think the video itself is entitled like the most awkward 8 minutes you'll ever see with Jerry Lewis or something. And basically it's a person asking Jerry Lewis all these questions and Jerry Lewis giving one-word angry answers for 8 straight minutes to the questions, roughly speaking.
Yeah. So he clearly didn't want to be there.
No, but
and it was so awkward.
The interesting thing, if you want to get really nerdy about it, is was he mad about the nature of the questions, or is he just mad because he doesn't like being interviewed? I think there might have been a little of both.
Or is he mad because the guy just annoyed him beforehand? Because I felt for the interviewer. He wasn't that bad. He was a reasonable interviewer. He sounded young. He may have been naive. He may not have done his homework on Jerry Lewis's work.
Here's the issue, though. So some of the questions were like, so why do you keep working in your 90s? Wouldn't you just want to retire? And there was an implicit thing. You could read the questions as implying like, look, when you hit your 90s, you're too old to be working. No one wants to see you anymore. So why bother working? And if he was taking the questions that way, I could see him being annoyed.
But of course, the whole premise of the show is people who are still working into their 90s. So you knew what you were getting into. But on the other hand, he may have pulled like an Andy Kaufman type thing. Like he said, what would be really funny instead of doing another mundane show, well, I eat my vegetables, that's why I'm alive, is I am going to just mess with this guy. And, Jerry Lewis knows his dry humor pretty well. If he did that, it was brilliant. He gave these you just have to watch it. We can't do justice to it.
By the way, we just got a comment, I was just informed, so thank you. And the comment was that RSBN needs a comedy show. And what I'm a little confused about is that comment saying like, well, this is clearly not funny, so we need a comedy show?
I can be straight, man. That's all I do.
Or were they saying, well, this is kind of funny, but we want more funny?
Or maybe a show where we allude to things that are actually funny that they should go watch on YouTube, and we're just doing a digest of them.
So if you want to clarify that comment, please comment further so we can get the full take on your comment. Will you preach? More comments, the better. We have Jake here who's feeding us some comments. So
but Jake's not feeling well today, so he's not going to be on camera.
Jake, were we not supposed to mention your name, by the way?
He's our music director.
Says that's fine.
Let me ask you.
Oh, Jake, I just want to put a shout out. So we're premiering Raised Right with Cassie and Will tonight at 7 Eastern, correct? Bet. On our network. It's a show about the millennial experience being in college and being conservative, which is great. Although I feel like when we describe it that way, it's really about the millennial experience being a conservative in college in a non-conservative town. Because it's not about like what is it like to be a millennial conservative at like Alabama University or something.
Well, University of Alabama has more liberals, especially if you listen to people at Auburn. In fact, Auburn does too. We were talking to co-host for the news show. That's Liz Willis. She said they're liberals at Auburn, which is like the most conservative school there is.
Okay, so
major Southeast Conference school, at least. They're going there.
So thank you for that clarification. But I interrupted the thing I was going to say, which is that I just heard today Jake Seals composed a new theme, and a person who's going to remain unnamed because I don't know if he wants publicity, composed an awesome opening graphic for the show. So if you tune in at 7, you'll see this awesome opening graphic and new theme. And again, Jake is the guy who does all the Trump music, like at the Trump rallies, the instrumentals you hear. So if you want more of Jake, who doesn't want more of Jake? Tune in at 7 and you can watch his new theme for the Raised Right. Now, Jake, will there be a full version of that available anywhere? Oh, there will. Okay, so I'll let you
building the suspense.
Follow Jake on Twitter. Jake, what's your Twitter?
Jacob RSBN Music.
Jacob RSBN Music.
And mine, by the way, is Adam_Taxon, and you can also find me on Facebook. I do use Twitter and Facebook a lot. I got to go on to Instagram and Snapchat, apparently.
And mine is @Lookner, which is LOOKNER.
And
did we get another comment? Is that what happened?
I don't know. Before I let you go, we still have a news broadcast I think we're doing tonight before Raised Right. What are we working on for there? Do we know yet?
Hold on, I'm looking at this comment. So this comment, is that all? That's all one comment?
I don't know.
It says
something about economy, Islam, IOC, and UN.
Islam, IOC, and UN.
I mentioned some stories before, but
wait, but is it one story?
I have no idea what the comment even means.
So is the question is there some kind of tie between the Islam, IOC, and UN, or is it asking for info about each of those things?
Separate.
It's asking for separate about each of those.
I'm going to look into this Trump-Israel story with the new ambassador. The professional liberal Jews are very upset about this because he's too pro-Israel. So I think that will be a good story. We're both Jewish. Deal with it if you're one of the anti-Zionist types in the chat room. This is not the show you want to watch.
I want to clarify this so people aren't mad at me. So I am ethnically Jewish and I was raised Jewish. I'm not quite practicing these days. So I don't want to get angry emails about you're Jewish, but you're not doing X, Y, and Z.
That's okay.
I just want to clarify that. So.
I think it's just... We just want to let the people who are Zionists, they can hate both of us equally.
That's true.
That's usually how it works.
Yes.
But that is a story we're working on tonight. I don't know if there's much to it. It's about David Friedman, the new ambassador. We're going to have stuff about the appointment of Kellyanne. And I should probably let you go so you can work on this, but you may come back at the end of the broadcast depending how long we're going.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Hey, and by the way, we're going to have 2 cameras on this. We're not going to be standing so close to each other in the future. I'm not sure I remembered to brush my teeth today, so I really appreciate your...
I didn't notice, which means maybe my smell is going. Oh, can I just say one thing before I go? I just want to say real quick, so we love being at RSBN so much, but RSBN is, one of the things we love about it, it's not a big mainstream media company, but the downside of that is that we do not have these crazy, insane amounts of money that these big mainstream media companies have because, for all these reasons.
If our show is ridiculously successful, we will, just from revenue, but we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. So for now, we are relying on you guys out there. Your support basically keeps us going. And so any kind of donation you can ever give to us, we really appreciate it. If you want to donate, go to rsbn.tv/donate. And we totally appreciate donations. They keep us going. So we don't just appreciate them, we need them. They're the lifeblood of us right now. And we thank you for all the donations you've given us. We just got a bunch a couple days ago. We got a bunch of snail mail ones that we went through with lovely notes. And so we open them all, we read them all in the office, and we thank you so much. But now I'm going to...
Wait, stay one more minute. Yes. I do want to talk about one thing. Obviously, the boycott NFL thing jumped the shark, even though ratings are a little bit down from last year, and I have some thoughts about it. But there's a question I want to ask you. But, Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers are 1-13. That took a lot of energy out of it. I mean, how can you not want to watch that? Like, the guy's he's not even that bad, and they're 1-13. He's having a better year than Cam Newton or the guy who got a lot of credit for the Philadelphia Eagles, who are my favorite team, Carson Wentz, who everyone said was so great. He's not having that bad a year, yet they're 1-13. And to me, the best thing about Kaepernick was this is when boycott NFL clearly ended, when he wore the Castro shirt and then Castro died 2 days later.
Oh, I thought him saying he didn't vote was...
Oh, yeah, that too. That was awesome, too.
Oh, there's one other little story I want to talk about before I go, which
You're not off the hook on the NFL yet.
Okay, I haven't mentioned this to you. And this story, there was a big headline in the Wall Street Journal today about how, probably everywhere, how about the GDP was like 3.5 in the last quarter and not 3.3. No. This is the wrong one. It was the Obamacare signups. The big story this morning is how Obamacare signups are higher. And this is being portrayed as like, oh, like Obamacare is working. But the thing is, I don't know how to, I should think about the story yet, but one thing I want to point out is, why do more people apply to Obamacare? What kind of people apply to Obamacare? People who aren't getting their health care through work. So maybe it's going up, the sign-ups going up shows that the economy isn't doing very well. I'm just throwing that out there as a way to read the story.
And they may have, by the way, the payoff to Michelle's college friend who did the horrible website we're past that. She got paid already. They had someone competent do that. So the website is much more usable now.
That's true. So
another thing.
There's lots of other ways to read the story.
And the premiums went up so much elsewhere that perhaps Obamacare is a better deal for everyone. I don't know.
This is just saying, don't take the initial take that they're giving you on this stuff. Do your research.
Don't ever take the initial take that they're giving you on CNN or CBS or Disney. I always make it clear that it's Disney.
You get your news from
Disney, aka ABC.
Does Disney have like a daily show kind of thing?
Yeah, it's called ABC.
Oh no, I meant like the Disney Channel.
Oh, I know. They like you to think it's a different company, that Disney's all benevolent and Uncle Walt would appreciate all the communism. Walt Disney was very anti-communist, but it's been taken over by progressives, those who are down with the struggle. And of course, which term are we going to use for MS whatever today? We have a lot of them to choose from.
My favorite one, and this is going to make people hate me, is MSAACP. The thing is, now, all right, I just want to be clear. No, I'm not going to make the whole speech about how I don't dislike black people, and I don't dislike any race. That joke is strictly about MSNBC's liberal bias, and we will do other versions of it. So please.
I think we used MSBLM yesterday, but WTF works pretty well.
I just lost all of my friends with that joke.
They're not watching.
Ever in my life. So I need new friends now. Anyways, all right, I'm going to let you get back to your thing.
Wait, no, I didn't finish my NFL question.
We got another comment that just happened.
That's okay. But let me ask you a question.
Can I just point out what the comment was?
Okay.
It was fake. People want to hear more tonight about on the news on your show about fake speech and hate speech. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, well, we have the story out of University of Michigan yesterday, and I think we should go into that in more depth today if there were any ramifications. I think there was another story. Why don't I let you go in a second back to work on the stories we're doing tonight. I do have a question. NFL, there are two teams. The Dallas Cowboys are back at 12-2, and the New England Patriots are 12-2. You are from Newton, Massachusetts, and you hate the Patriots.
My favorite team in the NFL is the anti-Patriots. So this happened because when I was growing, the thing about Boston is I guess a great sports town, but what happens in Boston is when a team gets good, all these people who have not been following sports for the last 4 years put on their Red Sox hats and their Patriots jackets and stuff, and they go crazy, and it's the first story on like the 6 o'clock news every night. And it drove me and my brother so crazy to see this that it turned us against.
So this wasn't until you were much older.
But I mean, for when I was a little kid, I was into all the Boston sports teams.
But the Patriots weren't any good for the most part.
Yeah, but by the time I was like in high school and college, the Patriots were getting good. So basically, it turned me against my favorite baseball teams, the anti-Red Sox. My favorite football teams, the anti-Patriots. Bruins and Celtics are kind of neutral on these.
None of whom won a World Series or a Super Bowl till you were like 30 years old.
One of the greatest moments of my life was the 1986 World Series and Bill Buckner, but I was watching it with all Red Sox fans, so I couldn't celebrate. By the way, we just lost the 90% of the audience who's not sports fans.
And by the way, it's not like anyone does that any differently in any other city. It's just that they're worse about it in Boston.
Oh yeah, Boston. They are a little great worse. City though.
And the Patriots won. We were in college in the Boston area. I think they won something like 15 games the 4 years we were in college.
Oh yeah, they were awful. They were going to move to Hartford.
They thought about that. Yeah.
See, we have become a daily sports talk show. So here you can get your news and your sports talk all in one place.
And weather. We're going to clearly have some global warming stories related to that.
All right,
let me let you go. You might come back depending how long you keep me on.
All right. Hey, love the show. Love both of you. Now I love both of your shows.
Okay.
Hey, cool. Keep watching Mornings with Adam, guys. All right, I'm going to go. Good seeing you. Thanks for tuning in. Stay with Adam. I'm going to get out of here.
Okay, Brad. Hey, I'm glad you came here because Brad is producing this. He's in the back. He's not going to say anything because we're not going to put a microphone on him. But it is Christmas season and it is Hanukkah season, and a lot of people just say Happy Hanukkah. You know, even if Hanukkah is done, it started on Thanksgiving like 3 years ago, 2 years ago maybe, and they'll say Happy Hanukkah even 3 weeks after Hanukkah. However, not an issue this year because Hanukkah, this is great, easy to remember. And Brad, I need you to stay here for a sec. December 24th, it starts that night and ends during the day on New Year's Day when the sun goes down or when nightfall comes on January 1st. Very easy to remember this year. And I'm not going to go at length about Christmas. I have a pet peeve, not that I have any problem with people celebrating Christmas. I make a point to say Merry Christmas, not the innocuous liberal Happy Holidays. But like, I respect the holiday enough to pretend to not insult you by pretending I celebrate it. I hate when like Barbra Streisand and Neil Diamond make Christmas albums like when they're Jewish. So I'm not going to go there. It's nothing against Christmas. It's respect for Christmas and leaving it to the people who actually celebrate it. But I am going to give Brad, he will be the only person we do anything Hanukkah-wise here, some donuts. Brad, and I'll tell you why. Hey, wait for the camera at least.
I am the camera.
Okay. He's not mic'd up, and you can go eat them now. I'm just going to explain why I'm giving you donuts. They're a Hanukkah tradition because they're made in oil. I don't know what the Krispy Kreme ones are baked in, but it's symbolic. It's Krispy Kreme Crunch. Jews eat donuts, special ones called sufganiyot, or latkes, which are potato pancakes. I once ate 30 of them in 10 minutes. That's another story I'll get into another time for something called Wing Bowl that is big in Philadelphia. But it's oil. The miracle of Hanukkah is that the oil, they only found one vial of oil that the Syrian Greeks did not defile in the temple, and it lasted 8 days. So we do things symbolically with olive oil, which I'm sure Krispy Kreme does not use because it's more expensive to make those donuts. But donuts are a big Hanukkah thing. We have a Christmas tree out there in the office. Hanukkah is not Jewish Christmas. It's a rabbinical holiday, not as big as a Christmas. It's a great holiday, don't get me wrong. You can even Google a video that I made with Rabbi Avi Rubenfeld of Chabad of Chesterfield. It's something like Hanukkah, Rabbi Rubenfeld, Adam Tax, and you'll find it on YouTube. You can find that. But Brad, thank you for helping us observe Hanukkah.
Hey, man.
The rest of us keep pretty strict diets, so we don't do Hanukkah. That's why it's great to have Brad around for these symbolic Jewish foods.
Always fun.
Yeah.
It's always a good time.
So that is about all we're going to do for Hanukkah here at RSBN. And we have a nice Christmas tree outside. So I guess I should go on about other stuff about Jake.
Yes.
Music, I have to shift right?
Yeah.
Okay. You're right, not my right. It takes me a while to comprehend that. Before Steve comes back, you know what? I'm going to go on to the Gateway Pundit right now, and I'm looking down at my phone. The pad gets on, it doesn't look as good visually, so I'm dropping that. I used all my stuff. I want to recommend Antonio Branco. He does something called Comically Incorrect. I posted it on Twitter and Facebook like I do most of them. He had another great one that just came out. It's Barack Obama saying, Trump is, this is my Obama voice, which needs work. Trump is way too cozy with Putin. And he has his arms around, I guess it's the leader of Iran and now Raul Castro of Cuba. You want to bookmark Comically Incorrect with Antonio Branco. Let me mention my other favorite cartoon artists. It's Ben Garrison. I can't remember the title. It's also Mike Lester, who's not that far away in Northeast Florida. It's Michael Ramirez, who does a lot. All his stuff can be at townhall.com. And also Glenn McCoy is great. These are the ones I follow most closely. Oh, and a guy whose pen name, or I guess crayon name or paint name is Stilton Jarlsberg. And he does his stuff at Hope and Change. Apparently someone just texted me, my friend in Northeast Florida, to tell me my fly is open, and I actually looked down. So, but I'm still going to give a shout out to a great restaurant, which is kosher, not vegan, vegetarian, and most importantly, this particular time of year, right off I-95. So if you're driving to Florida, it's not really halfway in between the Northeast and South Florida, but it's Eden Fresh Cafe. Delicious food, and it's very clean and very healthy food, which is a good antidote to some of the stuff you're probably eating this time of year. Eden Fresh Cafe, Ormond Beach. I forget the exact street it's on. I've eaten there many times, often for free. I have about 5 minutes left here, so if Steve wants to come back, he can anytime with more news stuff. I will also talk about Brad, who's doing a great work producing this. This show is really his idea. It may seem like I'm an egomaniac because it's Mornings with Adams or Mornings with Adam, or at least mornings on the West Coast and Mountain Time Zone right now. I don't even know what time it's going to be on. We're just winging it today, getting the production, getting some graphics up there. I have no idea what's going on in the back room. Let me get back to that story I mentioned about, it was on Gateway Pundit. It's not really their story, but it's a good digest. And the guy's name is Jim Hoff there, the Gateway Pundit. Steve's going to come back with more news. Reading the other headlines, it's ISIS releases hit list of churches in New York, California, Florida, Texas to target for Christmas. That's not good. Apparently, this just broke too. Ivanka Trump was harassed and berated on a JetBlue flight by a Hillary supporter. I have not even read that yet. Well, you know, I'm going to read this right now on air. It presumably was not Adam Saleh.
I'm
Well,
supposed to get any work done when you keep calling me back in.
I know,
I have a
it's
comment on that story, by the way.
and okay, tell us what happened. TMZ reported it.
As far as I can gather, Ivanka and her family were flying a JetBlue, or we got to move this way. We're flying a JetBlue flight in coach, which I think we could do a whole half-hour show on. Is it weird that Ivanka and her family are flying coach these days? Which I think is weird. I don't know why that was happening. For many reasons, it's very weird. But I guess some dude started saying stuff to her like, and this is one where I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was vague whether he was like anti-Trump or just like making fun of her for being on a coach. So go look at the story. But he was harassing her, I guess, and then they kicked the dude off the plane.
And,
but why is she flying coach?
I don't know. That's her business. I guess she's doing it with her whole family. I don't know, and I don't know what the Secret Service issue
Although
is with
I will
her.
say, I think I'm not really rich. If I was really rich, I don't think I would want my kids to fly first class because they get used to it and become jerks. I also don't think it's good when rich people take their kids to sports events and they have them sit in the front row because the kids become jerks.
Especially Patriots games, right?
Well, Patriots games too. So.
Let me read you here. I'm reading from. I'm going to just read this. JetBlue has released a statement. Apparently, he was removed. Mark Dice is another person who I think does great work.
Except for that thing yesterday.
I love his work, and he's better, and he had a little feud with Greg Gutfeld recently, but that's one you should dice and follow his Twitter feed, but especially his YouTube videos. Yeah, we're covering the story about Ivanka on the plane. Here's what Mark Dice wrote. It was a professor. Here is Professor at Matt Lasner's deleted tweet regarding the harassment of Ivanka Trump and her children. Oh, that's great. On JetBlue. Matthew Lasner, I think apparently he's an LGBT type. Well, not L, clearly. Ivanka and Jarrett at JFK T5 flying commercial. My husband chasing them down to harass them. He tweeted that and deleted it. And then Mark Dice followed his subsequent email by saying, this LGBT bully is proud that his, in quotes, husband was harassing Ivanka Trump and her kids on their Christmas flight. Of course, Ivanka Trump, her husband, and her kids don't observe Christmas, but whatever. The punk was kicked off.
Can I say something cool about this story also? If you go to TMZ where the story is posted, you can see a picture of Ivanka without makeup on, which is very interesting. It's very interesting. It's a little different, but it's interesting. So if you were wondering what she looks like without makeup, I would go to TMZ.
And I'm looking at the comments. This story apparently just came out. And this is how we're going to do things here often. It's going to be very much RSBN Live, which was a title we thought about, but I don't think we're going with. Here's what John wrote 42 minutes ago. For someone who would claim to be such a champion of tolerance, love, and acceptance, he sure is an intolerant, unloving, unaccepting a-hole. And they spell it out, but we're not going to say it on air, even though we probably could, because the FCC doesn't apply here.
You know what the one word we can't say on air is?
What?
Retarded.
Oh, yeah. Don't say that on air. Someone commented to that, I am just wondering, wasn't there anyone man enough to come to her rescue? Well, wasn't her husband there? And it sounds like she survived just fine.
This is one of these things where we don't know exactly what was said. If you have a video, please, you're on the plane, please send it to us, and then we can make money by selling it.
Yeah, and Adam Saleh apparently wasn't on the flight because then he'd have a video and monetize it.
That's true.
Hey, so we want to give credit where credit's done.
2 minutes left before we have to go.
Yeah, but I do want to say, this is a point. We really try to avoid plagiarism and neo-plagiarism. So you can go to the Gateway Pundit article where there's a little bit of commentary in those great comments I just mentioned, but it may be annoying that I do this now, but I really have a problem with the way people are lifting others' work because we deal with that in other ways here. So TMZ really did the work here. You can click on that from the Gateway Pundit. He makes it possible for you to go to the original source. That's one of the reasons I like it, because even if I don't want their short summary, I can go to the original source. So TMZ has this story. Support what they do.
By the way, is that why it's called Gateway? Because he's a gateway to the other stories?
No, it's because he's in St. Louis. I think it's probably both at once.
I thought I figured out something cool.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey,
but he's in St. Louis.
So I guess we have time for one more story. So what story do you want to choose for your last story on Mornings with your first Mornings? For your last story on your first Mornings with
I'm going to briefly allude to this headline, which I hadn't seen.
Yes.
Harry Reid slams Debbie Downer. DNC was worthless under Wasserman Schultz. I had mentioned Sheriff Clark goes off on
This is from
hateful
Gateway Pundit.
liberal racism. Adam, America has had enough of this crap. It's a video. So what do you know? Go watch the video, which Gateway Pundit links to. I'm going to go with the story I alluded to.
Okay.
Happy Hanukkah again, everyone. Trump just did more for Israel than Obama did in 8 years, which, of course, if you say Obama's anti-Israel, if he had done absolutely nothing and Trump had just done a tiny bit for Israel, then, it would be a little bit more. But the reality is, I have debated this with very pro-Israel people. Is America, aside from the Iran nukes, which we don't know exactly what's going on, is Israel really in that much worse of a position than it was 8 years ago? Just something to think about. But let me read this. It starts off, I want to go right to Donald Trump's tweet. The tweet, which is causing the buzz on CNN, where they look very stern about this. The resolution being considered at the United Nations Security Council regarding Israel should be vetoed. So that's the Trump tweet, and we always like to say that. Let me give the Trump statement, which is provided here. The resolution being considered at the United Nations Security Council regarding Israel should be vetoed, as the United States has long maintained peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians will only come through direct negotiations between the parties and not through the imposition of terms by the United Nations, which I'll add, Michael Savage, whom we do love here, one of our favorite people, often says should be turned into a homeless shelter, but some say the building in New York should be turned into a place for homeless vets in particular, but we can debate homeless shelter versus homeless vets, and let me just finish the Trump statement. This puts Israel in a very poor negotiating position and is extremely unfair to all Israelis. I'm done with that.
Okay, so we got to go now, and I'm going to let you sign off. Before we sign off, I just want to say, again, your show is when tonight at some time or other?
I think we're at
if we're doing it?
7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we should always try to go with
when is
Eastern
Raised
time.
Right?
That's at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. our time.
Oh, I gave the wrong time.
And I want to say one thing about the time zone. We're going to screw it up. We happen to be in Eastern Alabama, really close to where the Central Time, we're Northeastern guys, we're used to Eastern Time, but the time zone, line is 15 miles away from here maybe, and it was pretty funny because Brad, who's producing this, came to work yesterday. I happened to come in early because I wanted to upload some stuff. He got in a half hour early, but it was interesting. I said, oh, hey Brad, what's up? And but he was very leisurely when he got here. I was like, you came in half hour early, why exactly? Because he's hanging around talking, whatever. So what do you mean, I'm late? But some of these guys live on the other side of the timeline. So we're here in Alabama on the border of the Eastern and Central time zones. If that's interesting to people, so be it, but we may screw up the time at
It's
some
a great
point.
excuse for being late for anything. If you say I screwed up the time zone.
Or being early for no reason.
So your show, then Raised Right is tonight. If you want to follow RSBN Twitter, it's at RSBN TV. Jake?
RSB Network.
RSB Network.
RSB Network. Jake, your Twitter again is?
Jacob RSB and Music.
Okay.
Joe Seals, I think it's just at Joe Seals. Brad is at New World New Age. I'm at Adam_Taxon. And you are?
At Lookner, Lookner.
And try to come back.
And if you want to donate, RSBN TV, RSBN.TV/donate.
Yep. And, try to tune into our news show tonight. But if you have time to watch one show, our news show is a work in progress. But definitely tune in to Raised Right with Cassie and Will tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
And Jake's awesome song. All right, thanks for spending the morning with Adam.
Thanks for helping carrying the so-called morning with Adam.
It was fun. We'll do it again, maybe.
Hopefully.
I
or
think
we'll
so.
never do this again.
Or
We'll see
never,
what they say in
this
the
might
chat
be the
room.
last one, so save the stream if you saved it. I went away. Bye now.
Take care.